So we left off with bumping up a cage, which is preparing us to divide the caterpillars out into cages with just 25 caterpillars in a cage, which I have found to be the maximum amount of caterpillars that we can feed when they become fifth instars in this size cage. So I'm going to remove all the caterpillars and the plant material, do a little maintenance here, and add fresh food, which is essential that they need fresh food every day. And I'm going to trim down the pieces of milkweed that have caterpillars on into just a little triangle. And they're still small babies. They're just beginning third instars, not quite a half an inch. So we're going to make sure they're right on the food, that they don't have to go searching. So we're helping them. And it just requires going through every leaf, checking to make sure that you're not cutting through one as you're removing one on the top surface of the leaf, and helping them be right on the food will reduce any stress. I'm also just going to take a leaf and use that as a setup that I can put them on. And this milkweed was just washed, so I want to make sure it's dry. Just going to wipe off any excess moisture. And then I have a little leaf that I can put caterpillars on, and they'll be right on the fresh food then. This little group is molting, and they're all curled up in a leaf where they feel protected. So I'm going to leave them on that leaf. The less you handle the caterpillars, the better. They really don't want to be touched. They don't want to be moved. And if you move a molting one, it's a death sentence because they can't reattach those back legs into that pad of silk. This is a fairly fresh piece of food, so I'm just going to place that in the cage. It was added yesterday. And just continue to check and make sure I've removed all the caterpillars. And counting, because we only want 25. This was a small batch, so there's not very many. And just double check, because all this old food is going to be discarded. So see, now I can put them on that same leaf with the leaf of molting cats. So you should check and make sure your caterpillars are all developing at the same size. If we come across one that's completely undersized, then we would discard it. We would consider it a runt. And over the years, I have found that there's always some runts in every batch, but they will never make it to pupate. So we eliminate them at this point. They're finally big enough that you can actually see them and handle them easily, whereas before we were just adding food to their cage. So now I'm going to put my count down, and we had 20. The caterpillars are now big enough that they are not going to be able to crawl out of the cage. So we want to remove the paper towel, leave it out so that we have airflow in the cage.